What is going on, guys? Welcome back to TheSlamDuncan YouTube channel. This is my Bucks versus Bulls playoff series preview. This is not going to be good for Bulls fans because I am a Bulls fan, but I'm also real here. Just letting you guys know, but we're still going to talk about it. So hopefully this Bulls team can make this series actually interesting, but I think we all know that this Bucks team is very favored to win this series. But I do want to say before we get into this, though, I am very happy that playoff basketball is going to be back in Chicago. Like, that is awesome. I really miss it just watching, or I've never actually been to a playoff Bulls game before, but I miss just watching, like, the fans in the United Center go nuts. Like, I miss that. And I think this season, because the Bulls were winning, we saw some games where it was like a playoff level atmosphere in the United Center, and it was awesome to watch. And I fully expect for Chicago to come out in games 3 and 4 to come out and be extremely excited, have United Center rocking. It's going to be awesome to watch. I won't be there, but I'm going to thoroughly enjoy it, just seeing all the Bulls fans out there, because it's been a while since we've seen this in Chicago, and I'm just going to enjoy it. So I'm very excited for that. But before we get into the actual preview here, though, make sure you hit that like button if you're new to the channel. Hit that subscribe button. The playoffs start today, as I'm recording this. Actually, it's Saturday morning for me. I just finished watching the play-in tournament, so we officially have our playoff bracket set, as we now know all the matchups. We saw New Orleans get the upset over Clippers, and we saw Atlanta get the upset over the Cavaliers, so we now know all the matchups, and I'm very much looking forward to this playoffs for the NBA. I think it's going to be a lot of long series. Even in the first round, I could definitely see some Game 7s happening in the first round. But at the very least, a lot of series I think are going to go to Game 6. So that's going to be awesome to watch. But unfortunately, even though I say that, I do not expect this Bulls team to actually make this series a very long one. I just don't see it happening. But hopefully it goes at least 6 games, because I do want to get that third game in Chicago to happen. I just don't see it really happening. So I'm going to tell you, show you a couple things, kind of go over some stuff that we saw in the regular season, look at some stats here, and kind of just explain my thought process as to how this Bulls team can actually make this series at least interesting. But for all you fans out there, here is the schedule. Starts on Sunday, so be ready for that. I know it's Easter, but starts on Sunday in Milwaukee. And then we get 2 days off, so that's actually good for us. So then we play on Wednesday, and Friday, and then Sunday, and then you see the rest, Game 5, 6, and 7, if necessary. So just keep this all in mind, but definitely keep the first 3 games in mind, as I do know Adam and Stacy, they're at least doing the first 3 games. Not sure about the 4th yet. So looking forward to that. As I'm going to watch Stacey King over the national broadcast. Like 100% watching Stacey King over that. So looking forward to that, and I'm really looking forward to Game 3. It's Friday. It's gonna be rocking in the United Center. Can't wait for that. Can't wait for the lineup intros as well. That's gonna be awesome. But this is it right now. It sucks, I know. The Bulls got somehow the reigning champs in the first round, and this was honestly what I was like fearful of. No matter where we kind of lined up, like, I'm just like, we just can't face the Milwaukee Bucks in the first round. It is just the worst matchup possible, and we somehow did it. I know that if we were the 5 seed, it's not much better because we faced Philly, but I'd still take Philly over Milwaukee. But, this is the cards we were dealt. Here we go. So, the Bulls versus Bucks in the regular season, the Bulls were 0-4. And this has just been a widely talked about thing throughout the entire regular season, that the Bulls just can't beat good teams. And it's true. We were 0-4 against Miami, 0-4 against Philly, 0-4 against Milwaukee. I think we were 1-2 against Boston. We should have been 2-1. But, I mean, it's funny because like the one team that we actually able to beat was Brooklyn, and we were 2-1 against them. And this is with Kevin Durant and James Harden, but then the whole trade happened. But it's just kind of crazy to think about. Bulls were also 0-2 against Phoenix, or 0-2 against Golden State, 0-2 against Memphis. It goes on and on and on, right? So this Bulls team, because of that, I think it shows that we're not ready for the big stage. And A lot of Bulls fans are like, wow, we could have had a top seed. We could have been a contender this year. That's not true. There was no way we were getting a top seed. Uh, I think at best we could have gotten 4, but I just did not really see that happening either. I honestly I think the Bulls finished where they should have finished, which was either 5 or 6, and they did just that. I predicted that at the beginning of the season, and this is where they ended up. So 46 wins plus 15 wins from last season. That's great. But it shows you that this Bulls team is moving out of that rebuilding stage to now we're in the playoff stage. Like, this is not a bad thing at all. And it's important that this Bulls team did not have to play in the playing tournament, which is good to see. And they're going to get a lot of playoff experience. It just happens to be against this Milwaukee Bucks team, which is just unfortunate. So, it sucks, but let's kind of go over some things. One is this. The big three have to show up. And, I'm mostly looking at Vucevic here. Now, it's actually funny because I think Vucevic is actually pretty good in the playoffs. We've seen it before that Vucevic shows out in the playoffs, even against his Bucks team before. Obviously, this was a different time, but we've seen Vucevic show up against his Bucks team. So he needs to show up, and I'm really hoping he does because, my God, do the Bulls need it. We've been kind of waiting for Vucevic to be consistent all season, and he just hasn't been that. So maybe this is the time he shows up and does really, really well. Now, don't get me wrong, Vucevic's numbers, they look pretty good for the season stat line, but we know that he's been inconsistent this season. We just know it. If you watch the games, you know he's been inconsistent. We've seen those games where he's just doing nothing out there offensively, but then we see those games where he puts up like 30 plus, and it's like, why can't we just, get something in between and just be consistent with 20 points a night or something like that? So we need at least 20 points from Vucevic. So that has to be there. I need that from Vucevic at the very least. And obviously we need the other two guys to show up as well. I know Levine's dealing with an injury, but he just got a week off. So he has to show up. And DeMar, luckily with him, he's been healthy pretty much the entire season. But this week off is huge. I mean, I'm telling you right now, this week off for DeMar DeRozan is huge. He's going to get his body right. And I do expect DeMar DeRozan to show up. I know all these people are thinking like DeFrozen's going to show up because he did that in Toronto, but I'm telling you right now, like, when DeRozan was playing for the San Antonio Spurs, that did not happen, okay? He's going to show up. He is the main guy in this team. He understands that. I have no doubt in my mind DeRozan's going to show up. Now, I don't expect 40 from him, but he's gonna show up. He's going to play like an all-star. So, no, I don't think that's going to be much of an issue. I'm going to be interested to see what Zach does. That's going to be very interesting, in my opinion, because Zach does need to show up in this series, obviously, for even a chance for the Bulls to win a game. But I know Tristan Thompson's come out. He said he's challenged him. I don't know about that from Tristan Thompson, but I do think that the Bulls team, especially coaches, should challenge Zach to show out because this is what he's been looking for his entire time in the NBA. First time in the playoffs, you got to show out. And honestly, it's funny because I think a lot of Bulls fans are kind of scared he won't. I expect Zach LaVine to show out. I honestly think this is perfect for him because I think the Bulls are just kind of in a situation where no one expects them to win. They're playing with house money. You're going to see these guys, I think, show out, like our two All-Stars. I think it's going to be just fine with those two guys, but he needs to show up. Both those guys need to show up, specifically Zach, so for this Bulls team to have a chance to win a game. So the big three have to show up in this game. Now, the other stuff here, which is very interesting, is who's guarding Giannis, right? Which I think we need to kind of get this out of our heads already. No one can guard Giannis in this league. Nobody. But at the very least, you can slow Giannis down so he's not making that much of an impact on the game. And it's going to be interesting to watch because obviously the Bulls are down Lonzo Ball. So I think you would maybe not start Lonzo on Giannis, but you would definitely put Lonzo on Giannis at some point, right? So I think Patrick Williams is actually going to be the main defender here. To at least start. It'll be interesting to see what Donovan says, but I think Patrick Williams starts on Giannis. I know Caruso's going to get some chances on Giannis, but the other person that I'm looking to get some minutes on Giannis is Derrick Jones Jr. I think Derrick Jones Jr., while for some odd reason the officials hate him and he picks up a lot of fouls, I think he could be effective on Giannis. And again, no one's going to stop him, but try to at least do something where he's not putting up 40 on your head and not having the biggest impact on the game. Try to limit him, limit his chances in the paint, make him shoot as many jump shots. But again, though, it's so much easier said than done. I don't expect the Bulls to stop Giannis in the series, so that's just something that I'm looking at, but I just don't expect this Bulls team to do it. It's a collective team effort, obviously, so, I can name all these guys to guard them, but at the end of the day, the team has to be locked in defensively. So we saw at the end of the season, this Bulls team was not locked in defensively. It seemed like there's so many different things in guys' heads. Honestly, I'm going to blame the coaching staff a lot for that, because it just seemed like they didn't drill into the players' heads what's the defensive assignments and what's the defensive scheme. So it's on the coaching staff throughout this entire week that we just had on break to drill the defensive scheme into these guys' heads. This is playoffs, man, and you have opportunities to adjust. You have opportunities to do all these different things. So it's on the coaches to do their job, and hopefully they did that during the break. I'll be looking forward to it once the Bulls start this series, because we're going to see what the Bulls have worked on in this past week. Now, a couple other things I want to point out here. This is the season series for the Bulls against the Bucks. Okay, so this is obviously the Bulls, and this is the Bucks. As you can see right here, the main difference right here is the point differential. Now, the Bulls' first 2 games against the Milwaukee Bucks was actually pretty close. The first game was obviously without Zach LaVine, but then the rest of the games, game 2 was actually pretty close. The Bulls had an 8-point lead going to the fourth quarter, but then they ended up not winning the game. Makes sense though. The last 2 games were awful. We got destroyed by the Bucks, and that's where you see the big point differential right there. So this is big, This can't happen. You can't give up 116 points in a playoff game, especially if you're going to only score 101. So the Bulls have to, in their mind, you have to limit this Bucks team to, at the very least, at least in my head, 110. Can't get past 110. Because this Bulls team, I think, can actually, at the very least, get 110 points in a playoff game. Especially when the game is slower, I think this Bulls team can get there. They have enough scores on this roster to get to 110, but you can't let them get past that. So it's important that this Bulls team limits this Bucks team to 110 at the very least. I would like lower. I would like this Bulls team to actually aim for 100, but I just don't think that's possible against this Bucks team, but you never know. Hopefully Billy Donovan has the defensive scheme worked out really well. Now, other thing I want to point out is this. This is the big part that has to be big for this Bulls team, which is the rebounding. Now, I don't really care about the total rebounding numbers. That doesn't really bother me too much here. But what bothers me is this. The Bucks had 9 offensive rebounds a game. Average 9 offensive rebounds a game in the 4 games against the Bulls. That is unacceptable. That has to be closer. I mean, ideally it's 0, but obviously it's impossible. But to me, at the most the Bucks can get in a game is 5. You have to limit offensive rebound chances against this Milwaukee Bucks team, because if they get that offensive rebound, they got shooters all over the court for wide open threes, and obviously Giannis running down the lane. They have big trees down there in the front court. Obviously Giannis. Brook Lopez is now back, and he's very effective. Bobby Portis, former Bull. These guys are really, really good down there in the paint. They also got Serge Ibaka as extra protection. So they got depth down there. They got a bunch of big bodies. It's on the entire team for this entire Bulls team to rebound the ball. And I'm specifically looking at DeMar and Zach. Those 2 guys, they just, once the Bulls forced the miss, they just would not look to rebound the ball. And that's unacceptable. And I understand LaVine probably doesn't want to risk getting injured. And I get it. But I'm also looking at some of these other guys too. Like, they have to rebound the balls. And I'm looking at our 2 All-Stars, but I'm also looking at a bunch of guards. Like, guys like, I saw even Javonte Green start to not rebound the ball. Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, they weren't really rebounding the ball at the end of the season. It's on everybody to rebound the ball. Everybody has to box out. Everybody has to rebound the ball. And Vucevic has to do a good job of at least boxing out. Now, I know he's our main rebounder, but he has to box out at the first things first, which is box out. If you, I always say this is like the kind of Dennis Rodman technique when guys would face Dennis Rodman because he was so good getting offensive rebounds, they would face guard him. So they're basically saying, if I'm not getting the rebound, you're not getting the rebound. So for Vucevic, if he's boxing out Lopez or boxing out Giannis, whoever it is, at the very least, box him out. You don't have to get the rebound. Just say, if I'm not getting the rebound, you're not getting the rebound. Face guard him. Make sure this Bucks team does not kill you on the glass. This has to be very important. So this is something I'm going to be watching all series, and offensive rebounds, especially in playoff games, matter much more than the regular season. Everybody has to rebound. If this Bulls team gets a stop, they have to get the defensive rebound and close the defensive possession. That is huge for this Bulls team. Now, the rest of the stuff is actually kind of interesting. First off, this Bulls team actually did a pretty good job against the Bucks in terms of turnovers. So I hope that continues, because this Bucks team, if they're out on the fast break, it's over. You're not stopping this Bucks team in the fast break. They have all these athletic guys out there, and they're going to outrun you. So this Bulls team, no way they're going to outrun this Bucks team. But at the very least, what you can't control is the turnovers. Do not turn the ball over. If you don't turn the ball over, the Bucks are not going to get those fast break opportunities. Do a good job of keeping control of the ball. Now, the other thing, too, is this. This Bucks team, especially under Budenholzer, they are very much willing to give up the three-point shot. Okay? Now, this is going to be very interesting to watch here, because we saw how to beat the Bucks team when the Miami Heat they faced the Bucks in the bubble, right? You have to hit your three-point shots. Now, unfortunately for this Bulls team, we don't have Lonzo Ball as the best three-point shooter. But I am looking at a lot of guys here that can start hitting threes and actually punish this Bucks team at the three-point line. This Bucks team is very much willing to give you the three-point shot. Now, obviously, DeRozan's not a three-point shooter, right? But we know DeRozan can get a shot at any point. But the main thing we need to see from this Bulls team is everybody has to step up shooting the three ball. This Bucks team is going to be willing to go under the screen. They're going to be willing to back up and not let the guys get into the paint. They're going to make sure DeRozan and LaVine do not get touches in the paint. That's their main goal right now. So it's important that the rest of the guys out there on the Bulls hit their three-point shots, but also be willing to take it. So guys like Javonte Green, who we've seen hesitate to shoot the three, he has to take it. You have to take that shot, have to take it with confidence. Hopefully you knock it down. Patrick Williams, you have to take the wide open three-point shot. Now, I also hope the Bulls use Patrick Williams more as a scorer and actually an offensive option, because they haven't done that since he's gotten back until the last game of the season when no one else played. Don't know what Billy Donovan and coaching staff are doing there. But if Patrick Williams has the wide open three, he has to take it. We've seen this before with DeMar. DeMar's not a three-point shooter. He's not the greatest three-point shooter. Now, he's actually hit a pretty decent amount this season. But even though he's not known as a three-point shooter, and he knows he's struggled from three-point range, he still, when he's wide open, he has no hesitation and just takes it. That's going to help you knock it down. It's important for this Bulls team, no matter who it is, if they're open from three-point range, which the Bucks are going to give you, take it with confidence. You have to take the wide open shot. Do not hesitate. And last but not least is this. This is ridiculous right here. Free throw attempts. I understand Giannis is arguably the best player in the world. And this Bucks team has Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, a bunch of ball handlers. The guys that can drive right into the paint and stop them. Draw a foul. This has to be a very, very concerted effort to make sure the Bucks do not kill you at the free throw line. Now, I understand the whole thought process of, foul Giannis, make him earn it from the line. And I agree with that if Giannis is in the paint. If Giannis is in the paint, foul him. Foul him hard. Don't let him make the shot. Make him earn it from the free throw line. But do not foul Giannis when he's shooting a fadeaway jumper, which we saw sometimes when the Bulls faced the Bucks. Do not foul Giannis if he's on a three-point line. Do not do that. Because we've seen before with Giannis, when it becomes important, he's going to knock down his free throws. We saw that in the finals last season. So when it comes to playoff time, Giannis is going to hit his free throws. So while I agree with fouling Giannis when he's in the paint and about to dunk it home, foul him hard, don't let him get the easy layup or dunk, make him earn from the line. But we have to make sure that we're not fouling these guys when they're out on the perimeter. No fouling three-point shooters. No fouling guys that are trying to, get the pump fake and shot that we've seen all season, right? Do not foul these guys when they're shooting jump shots. This has to be a concerted effort. And overall, just try not to foul. Solid defense will allow you not to foul. So that's big. So I talked about three-point shooting, talked about offensive rebounding, and I talked about the free throws. These are the three things I'm looking at for this Bulls team against this Bucks team in the series. These are things that you can control that will give you the best chance of winning a game in this series. So those are the three things I want you guys to be paying attention to as this Bulls team faces this Bucks team, which again, I don't expect this Bulls team to win, but no one does anyway. But again, you can make this a very interesting series if you can pull off a couple games here. So like I said, this is the schedule, and this is what we're dealing with here. It is the reigning champs. I understand that this Bulls team is probably not going to win this series, but I have a thing that I'm looking at that could be very important, which is I don't want this Bulls team to get swept. I don't think they're going to get swept. I think they at least get one. Now, I think the best chances of getting one is actually game one in Milwaukee, because maybe this Milwaukee Bucks team comes out and it's like, oh, we swept this Bulls team all season. This is going to be easy, and maybe the Bulls shock them. But also game three. I think game three is a pretty good chance of the Bulls stealing a game here. You're at home. Playoff basketball in Chicago is going to be nuts. And I also know that the role players for this Bulls team play very, very well at home. So maybe the role players show out in that game and the Bulls can pull it off. I honestly think this series ends in 5 games. I honestly do. But here's the thing. If this Bulls team can force it to 6 and make every single, or at least almost every single game pretty close, that is an absolute win. That is over exceeding what I thought this Bulls team could do this season. And like, if I already said this Bulls team is gonna be 5 or 6, and they landed right there. But if they could somehow make this a 6-game series, and obviously a 7-game series would be great, right? But if you can make this a 6-game series, keep all these games or most of these games close, make it a dogfight in the end, right? That is a huge pitch to free agency. I understand this Bulls team has no cap space for next season, but we saw we got DeRozan, we got Lonzo, and Caruso with no cap space. This Bulls team needs has a lot of work to do, right? AK and Mark, obviously, they got a lot of work to do, and I honestly think that they need to go out and start looking for some guys, especially some proven guys, to bring to this team to bring them to the next level. But what is a better pitch in free agency than saying, hey, we took the reigning champs to 6 games and all the games were close, or we took the reigning champs to 7 games and the games were close? That is a phenomenal free agency pitch. And I look at it as if, like, when the Clippers, when they didn't have, like the season before they got Kawhi and PG, they took the Golden State Warriors that had KD, had Steph, Clay, Draymond, that crazy team to 6 games with a bunch of role players, with Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, and a bunch of other role players. Not a single All-Star was on that team, but then they were able to get the top free agents, right? I don't expect this Bulls team to go out and get the top free agents. That's not going to happen. This free agency class is not the best. But what they can do is get a lot of proven veterans if they force this series to 6 games and put up a pretty decent fight against this Bucks team, because now people see that DeRozan and Levine are a legitimate duo. They see they have Patrick Williams, who's going to be an incredible guy, or incredible player, especially in year 3, I think. Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso are already known as 2 of the top defenders in the league, and I think everyone wants to play with guys like that, right? And then you add on that we took the Milwaukee Bucks to a pretty lengthy series. That's a pretty good free agency pitch to those proven guys out there that you want to bring in and add 3-point shooting, add defense, add rebounding, add rim protection. That's how you get those guys, even guys on like minimum contracts, just to come in and play for this team. So that's what I think is really on the line for this Bulls team. It's not about winning this series. It's about doing well, showing out that you're actually a pretty decent team, and then hopefully that is useful in free agency for AK and Mark Eversley when we hit the offseason. Keep that in mind, because this is important in my opinion, because this Bulls team is at that, they got out of the rebuilding stage. Next season, though, I think is when you have to hit contending level, and hopefully you land those free agents to make you take that jump into contending level status next season, and this right here, this series, can help you get to that level. So that's all I have for you guys in this video. Lengthy preview, but this is important because, hey man, playoff basketball hasn't hit Chicago in a while, so I'm very much looking forward to it. Overall, just looking forward to the entire playoffs, as I've thoroughly enjoyed this NBA season, and I do think that the playoffs are going to have some lengthy series, especially in the first round. Like, you're going to see some game 6 and 7s in the first round, in my opinion. But if you want to know my prediction for the finals, I do have the Bucks winning the finals. I do think that they're gonna win the finals again this year. I think Giannis is just too much of a force, and it looks like the Bucks are gonna not face the Nets. So I think they're gonna pretty much get through the Eastern Conference. And honestly, it's interesting because now that Steph is actually back, he's going to be available for Game 1. I think it's going to be Bucks versus Warriors. I really do. I don't know about Phoenix right now. I know it just seems so crazy to me. Like, they were in the finals last season, and they have by far the best NBA record this season. It's not even close, and they've been playing so well. They brought back the same team, but added key pieces like JaVale McGee to that team. It looks like a team that's set up to do better than last season, but for some reason I just don't trust them, and I don't know why. I'm probably going to be proven wrong at the end of this because they're probably going to make it to the finals again, but I just think that they might get eliminated to a Dallas Mavericks team in that second round. I won't be shocked if that happens, but I do think the Warriors are actually going to make it because they have the most experience in that top three. I think they're going to get past the Nuggets, and then whoever they face in the second round, which is probably be the Grizzlies. But I think the Warriors team, I think they're actually going to make it to the finals this year. And I just see the Bucks winning it because I just think Giannis is the best player right now in the league, and no one's going to come close to him. And he's already proven that the dude is incredible, that even if you put him at the line a bunch of times, he's going to knock it down and come in clutch. So this Bucks team, man, I just think they're just too good. I just don't see another team putting up much of a fight up against them. As I said with this Bulls team, I don't see this Bulls team winning against them. And I think if there is a team that can put up a fight, it would be the Philadelphia 76ers. But I don't know if the Philadelphia 76ers get past the second round. So that's going to be interesting to see. But that's my prediction for the playoffs. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys are as well. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.